They say the strongest relationships are built on trust. But what happens when the biggest truth is the one you can never tell? This is the story of Tund and Emeka, two boys who met at just 6 years old, who grew up side by side, chased the same dreams, and built one of Nigeria's most successful technology companies together. To everyone around them, they are inseparable. Business partners, childhood best friends, brothers in everything but blood. But behind every smile, every laugh, and every success lies a secret neither of them has dared to confess. A love they have hidden for years, not because it isn't real, but because the world around them would never understand it. Will they continue to bury their feelings to protect everything they've built? Or will one unexpected moment change their lives forever? Welcome to Bound by Silence. This is only the beginning. If you love emotional stories filled with friendship, sacrifice, romance, and unforgettable twists, make sure you subscribe, because once this journey begins, there will be no turning back. The streets of Lagos had barely come alive when a sleek black Mercedes pulled into the parking lot of Apex Innovations, one of the fastest-growing technology companies in Nigeria. Employees walking toward the entrance paused to greet the man who stepped out of the driver's seat. "Good morning, Mr. Tund." Tund smiled politely and nodded at each of them. Morning. At 30 years old, Tund had achieved what many people only dreamed of. He was the co-founder and CEO of a billion-naira technology company that had started with nothing but 2 laptops, 1 tiny apartment, and an impossible dream. He was respected by everyone who knew him. Calm, disciplined, and soft-spoken, he rarely showed much emotion. He believed actions spoke louder than words. As he entered the office, laughter echoed from down the hallway. He didn't have to guess who it was. Only one person laughed that loudly before 9 in the morning. Emeka. Tund shook his head and smiled to himself. When he reached the conference room, he found Emeka sitting on the table instead of a chair, entertaining the staff with another one of his ridiculous stories. And then the security guard looked at me and said, "Sir, your ID card is upside down." I said, "Exactly. I wanted to see if you were paying attention." The room erupted with laughter. Even Adiz had tears in her eyes from laughing. The moment Emeka noticed Tund standing at the door, he jumped off the table. "There he is," Emeka announced dramatically. "The man who thinks smiling is a part-time job." Everyone laughed again. Tund rolled his eyes. "I smile." Emeka folded his arms. "When?" "Yesterday." "Yesterday." Emeka turned to the staff. "Did anybody witness this historical event?" The employees burst into laughter again. Tund couldn't help smiling. "There." Emeka pointed at him excitedly. "Everybody saw that. Write today's date down." Tund actually smiled. The laughter grew louder. Tund shook his head. "You talk too much. And you don't talk. That's why we're business partners. I supply the words, you supply the silence." Even Tund laughed this time. For people who didn't know them, they looked like complete opposites. Tund was quiet. Emeka was loud. Tund thought before speaking. Emeka spoke before thinking. Tund loved schedules. Emeka believed every day should be an adventure. Yet somehow they balanced each other perfectly. They always had. Their meeting with investors lasted almost 3 hours. Whenever Tund explained the technical side of the business, Emeka effortlessly charmed everyone in the room with jokes and stories that somehow always led back to the company's vision. By the end of the meeting, the investors stood and applauded. "This is why your company keeps growing," one investor said. "One of you wins people over with logic, and the other wins them over with personality." Emeka grinned proudly. "I'll let you guess which one I am." Everyone laughed again. After the investors left, Adiz walked into the conference room carrying lunch. "I figured neither of you would remember to eat." Emeka gasped dramatically. "Adiz, if I ever become rich, you already are. I mean richer." She laughed. "I'm not marrying you. I was going to say I'd buy you a car. You've been promising that for 3 years. I like building suspense." She shook her head. "You are impossible." "I've heard that before." As they ate, Adiz watched the two men quietly. She had worked with them for almost 4 years. She had seen them argue over business decisions, celebrate victories together, and stay overnight at the office during difficult projects. But one thing had always fascinated her. Neither of them ever seemed complete without the other. If Tund traveled for meetings, Emeka became unusually quiet. If Emeka was away for a day, Tund barely spoke. It was as though they carried half of themselves in the other person. She smiled to herself. "You know what everyone in this company calls you too?" Emeka looked. "Hopefully something handsome. They call you the office husbands." Silence. Emeka blinked twice before bursting into laughter. "Office husbands?" He laughed so hard he nearly dropped his spoon. "Adiz, who came up with that?" "I'm not telling." Tund cleared his throat awkwardly. "I think we should get back to work." Emeka noticed how uncomfortable Tund suddenly looked. His laughter slowly faded. "Relax," he said gently. "It's just a joke." Tund nodded, but something inside him tightened. If only it were just a joke. If only his heart didn't race every time Emeka smiled. If only he hadn't spent years falling in love with the one person he could never tell. Across the table, Emeka looked at Tund for a little longer than usual. He smiled as though nothing had changed. But deep inside, he was hiding the exact same secret. Neither of them knew that the love they had spent years burying was quietly waiting for the day it could no longer remain hidden. The meeting ended later than expected, and one by one, the employees began leaving the office. Adiz poked her head into Tund's office. "Boss, are you two going home today? Or should I tell the cleaners to prepare beds for you again?" Emeka laughed before Tund could answer. "Beds sound like a good idea." Adiz shook her head. "You two seriously need a life outside this company." "We have one," Emeka replied. "Oh, really? Name one friend that isn't sitting in this office." Emeka opened his mouth, then closed it. Adiz folded her arms with a smug smile. "Exactly." She wished them good night and left. The office became unusually quiet. Only Tund and Emeka remained. Tund was still focused on his laptop when Emeka stood beside his desk. "Enough." Tund didn't look up. "I just need 5 more minutes. You said that 40 minutes ago." "I'm almost done." Emeka gently closed the laptop. Tund looked up in surprise. "What was that for?" "You've been working since 6 this morning." "So have you." "Exactly. Which means we both deserve a break." Tund sighed. "You never give up, do you?" Emeka smiled. "You've known me for 24 years. You should know the answer." Tund couldn't help smiling. "Fine. Good." Emeka grinned triumphantly. "I already ordered dinner." "You ordered before asking me?" "I knew you'd say yes eventually. You really are impossible. And yet, you still haven't replaced me." "I've tried." Emeka placed a hand dramatically over his chest. "That hurts." They both laughed. Moments like these reminded them why they had survived everything together. No matter how stressful work became, Emeka always found a way to make Tund laugh. As they ate in the office, the conversation drifted away from business. They talked about their childhood, the football matches they used to play in the neighborhood, the times they got punished for climbing mango trees, the tiny apartment where they built the first version of Apex Innovations. "We really had nothing," Emeka said. "Nothing except 2 old laptops. And one fan that only worked when you kicked it." Tund laughed. "You kicked it. And it worked. For 5 minutes." Both of them burst into laughter. When the laughter died down, silence settled between them. Not an awkward silence. The comfortable silence of 2 people who had spent most of their lives together. Emeka looked around the office. "You know." "What?" "I've never thanked you." Tund frowned. "For what?" "For believing in me." Tund looked genuinely confused. "You never needed my belief." "I did. When everyone thought my ideas were crazy. You didn't. When I wanted us to quit our jobs and start the company. You said yes. When I doubted myself. You reminded me why we started." Emeka smiled softly. "I don't think I say thank you enough." Tund smiled back. "You don't have to." "I know." Another silence followed. This one felt different, heavier, more meaningful. Emeka wanted to say something else. The words reached his lips, then stopped. Instead, he smiled. So, still think you're better than me at table tennis? Tund laughed. I don't think. I know. Prove it. Within minutes, they were in the company's recreation room. The match quickly turned into complete chaos. Emeka celebrated every point as though he had won an Olympic medal. Tund simply shook his head. You talk too much. It's called confidence. It's called distraction. It's called winning. You've won 1 point, and many more are coming. The sound of laughter echoed through the empty office floor. One of the security guards walked past and smiled. Every Friday night it was the same. The two founders of one of Nigeria's biggest tech companies became two little boys again. For a little while, there were no investors, no deadlines, no responsibilities, just Tund and Emeka, best friends, exactly as they had always been. Neither of them noticed the way they looked at each other when the other wasn't paying. Tension. Neither realized that every smile, every laugh, every moment together was quietly making it harder to keep their feelings hidden. And somewhere deep inside, both men feared the same thing. Not that they would stop loving each other, but that one day, their hearts would refuse to stay silent any longer. Tund switched off the lights in his office and picked up his car keys. Ready? He asked. Emeka nodded. Let's go. The two friends walked through the quiet lobby, laughing about their table tennis match. Just as they stepped outside, a voice called out from behind them. Emeka? Both men stopped. Emeka slowly turned around. Standing a few meters away was a young woman in an elegant blue dress, holding a small handbag. She smiled the moment their eyes met. I knew it was you. Emeka stared at her, searching his memory. I'm sorry. Have we met? The woman laughed softly. You really don't remember me? Tund looked from Emeka to the woman, noticing the surprise on his friend's face. The woman took another step closer. My name is Joy. We were classmates at university. I've been looking for you for a very long time. Emeka stood speechless. Tund forced a small smile, but something about the way Joy looked at Emeka made his heart feel strangely uneasy. Was this simply an old classmate, or was she about to become something much more? Find out in episode 2. If you're enjoying Bound by Silence, make sure you subscribe, because the arrival of Joy is about to change Tund and Emeka's lives in ways neither of them could ever imagine.